Am I the jerk for asking my relative to purify her house before I visit? Every year I travel to my hometown for the high holidays. My parents usually host all our extended family for the holiday dinner, but only my wife, our infant daughter, and me for a series of days since everyone else lives pretty close, and we are a few hours away. This year, my aunt requested to host the holiday, which is new. I really love my aunt and uncle, but I have severe pet allergies, and they have 3 dogs and 1 cat. Dogs I can usually tolerate as long as I wash my hands and do not touch my face, but cats are truly problematic for me. I get hives, red eyes, and congestion just from being in an area where they were previously. The only way I have found to alleviate this is by taking strong antihistamines, which usually knock me to sleep and cause drowsiness. Even after that, the next few days are miserable for me as I still have itchy eyes, etc. This allergy started in adulthood. As a child, I had a cat, and it did not bother me. My parents, with whom I am staying, have a low-shedding dog, which is easier for me to manage. Initially, I did not even think about how their pets would affect me as they only got them after I moved away. I decided to try to spend as much of the holiday in their outdoor space as possible and thought I could provide them with a few of my air purifiers to run a few days before the holiday. I sent a text explaining this to them 4 days ago and mentioned that I did not want to create a huge problem but wanted to be able to enjoy the holiday with everyone and not have to go home early because I had to take an allergy pill that knocked me out. This morning I received an angry text where my aunt said she was offended because she considers herself a clean person and I have no issue at my parents around their pet. She said that her house is her animal's home first, and basically stated that I should have hosted if I was going to make demands. I would not have an issue with hosting, but making everyone drive hours to me feels unrealistic. In the end, she basically said that I am welcome to come, but she will not be giving me special treatment or making her feel unclean as a host. She said that I do not have to come, but she would be disappointed as she was looking forward to meeting my daughter. I am really taken aback as I did not think my requests were super demanding. I basically just asked her to plug in a machine I would provide and hit the on button. I never asked her to put away her animals or accused her of being unclean. Maybe I was out of line for asking this. I am not sure. Am I the antagonist for requesting that accommodations be made for me at my aunt's holiday party? It makes sense that your request could have come off as accusing her of being unclean, but that wasn't your intention at all. Your aunt does have the right to keep her home as she likes, but it's fair to ask for some accommodation for your severe allergies. Maybe try having a conversation in person to avoid any misunderstandings and clarify that it's about the pet dander, not the cleanliness. If it doesn't work out, a mask could help mitigate the allergies during your visit. Am I the jerk for not helping my mom cook for an event? My sister and niece asked my mother if she could contribute to an event they are having by making a traditional Mexican dish. The food they requested is very tedious and takes a long time to prepare. The problem is my mother does not have a kitchen to cook in. She has a property but only has a small RV she converted into a huge bedroom. There is no bathroom and no kitchen. She is a single woman who depends on herself financially. I recently helped her start a side hustle which she has made into her full-time job, and she does it all day. When my niece asked her for the favor, she could not say no, and they did not take into account that she has nowhere to make the food. I brought it up to my sister and asked her if she was aware that our mother does not have anywhere to cook. She quickly said, "Well, she can go to your house." I suggested maybe she could go to her house, and my sister said no, she does not have time. My mother called me and asked me to go ahead and start on the food, and she would come to start preparing it. The event is 4 days away. I told her it was too soon, and I had other things I needed to do. She responded to just go ahead and get it started so it can be ready. I was upset because I had some good news come in and was planning on having a little celebratory dinner with my family. Needless to say, I was in the kitchen all day and she never came. On top of everything, I still have mommy duties. This morning she called me as usual to see if I started everything, and I said yes. I also told her that she needs to tell my sister that next time she requests her cooking, she needs to do it at her house and help prepare this dish. My mother got upset and said I was making a big deal out of nothing, and I was complaining too much. I told her I would talk to my sister and she got defensive and said, "No, don't tell your sister anything. Leave her alone and just help me with this." I said I would help, but she needs to learn to tell my sister no when she asks for things. My mother never tells her no, and they always include me without asking. Another problem is that my mother is addicted to her side hustle and does not take time off to get things done. Therefore, she was going to leave me hanging, making pretty much everything, and I still have to clean up after. I talked to my sister and she also went off on me, saying that I had time because I am a stay-at-home mother. So is she, but she does not have babies and does not like to be inconvenienced. I asked why she could not do it at her house, and she said she does not want to deal with all the mess, and they were already having the event there. They are both mad at me, but I do not feel responsible for any of this. I feel really guilty now for putting my mother in an awkward position, and now I feel like the bad guy, but I did not sign up for it, and I am tired of being a doormat and being ignored. So, am I the bad guy? Everyone sucks here. Tell her to come pick the food up and finish it elsewhere, or it's going in the trash. You need to learn to say no to both of them and stop enabling their behavior. Don't tell people to do things you're not willing to do yourself. Am I the jerk? I insulted my dad's friend's sister. My parents are separated, and for some reason my dad's best friend seems obsessed with setting him up with somebody. He has suggested women my dad has worked with, his ex-girlfriends, and at one point even his own sister. My dad is somewhat invested in this friend. I live about 20 miles from where I work. When my car was booked into the garage, my dad's friend said he'd take me to the bus stop but not directly to work. A couple of weeks earlier, he had driven his friend 100 miles because his friend's daughter was moving house or something. My mother finds his friend's behavior strange and thinks he might have an agenda. I admit, I don't like his friend much. They also tried to push my dad to date his sister quite a bit, but my dad made it clear he had no interest in her. His sister looks kind of like my dad's friend, only more masculine. Actually, a lot more masculine. Personally, I think the friend was trying to get his sister into my ancestral home. Now, his sister has, I think, 2 grown-up children, and the family is not the best of people. The 2 children used to steal video games from their cousins, the sons of my dad's friend. I know this because his friend told me that his nephews and nieces are thieves. At one point, he got his son a game for Christmas. The nephews and nieces were visiting for Christmas and took the game. He had the 3 Spyro games for the PlayStation 1, and they disappeared. He saw the 3 games at their house, and his sister said she bought them for her children. So they are not the type of people I'd want living in my ancestral home. I said as much when he was talking about trying to get my dad to date her. Aside from my dad not being interested, I wouldn't feel comfortable with her and her children being in and out of the house. He was offended. For some reason, when he was gone, my dad actually defended her, saying they had probably thought it was okay because it was family, and they might not have viewed it as actual stealing. Yes, I'm the bad guy, his friend can do no wrong. I replied that I felt the opposite, that if she and her dodgy family would steal from their cousins, then who wouldn't they steal from? My dad told me to stop being stupid, but my mom thought I was right when I mentioned it to her. Luckily, as mentioned, my dad isn't interested in dating his friend's sister, so I don't need to worry. But am I the asshole for insulting her? Your dad can take care of his own social life. The ancestral home is not yours to defend. Your father owns it. She let her kids steal and lied to cover for them. This isn't a person you want hanging around your home. Am I the jerk for not getting over my brother and sister-in-law, causing drama at my wedding? Hello everyone. Let me start with the formalities. I am a 31-year-old male. My husband is 31 years old. My brother, let's call him Jim, is 34 years old. My sister-in-law, let's call her Tammy, is 37 years old. Backstory: Jim got married to Tammy in 2011. She has been very problematic from day one, but we have kept our mouths shut due to that being his wife. Jim and I have always been pretty close, and he has always been very supportive of me and whoever I was with all my life. He was never religious until he married her, and while that is absolutely not a problem on its face, it became the source of our problems with both of them last year at our wedding. 1 month before our wedding, on a phone call with my mom, I was told my 2 nieces, aged 5 and 7, would not be attending, so I called Jim. He told me he was not comfortable with them seeing a gay marriage. I was confused why this was now an issue. My husband and I have been together around my nieces countless times over the years. They know I am gay, they call me Gunkle for goodness sake, and they are aware my husband is my partner. Jim seemed to think they were unaware and said he would explain things to them later in life. He would not be swayed. I was hurt, but I just told myself it is what it is and tried not to let it affect me or our special day. Fast forward to the wedding day, everything went off without a hitch, or so I thought. After the ceremony during dinner, Jim told my parents he thought it was wrong that we allowed our officiant to include a verse from the Bible about what love means. While my husband and I are both non-religious, we have no issue with religion and let our officiant keep the line in because we figured our religious families would like it. Nobody minded but Jim and Tammy. About 30 minutes prior to the end of the evening, Tammy approached a friend of ours and expressed that she disagreed with us getting married. Our friend told her that it sucked and that she should go tell someone who cares. This upset Tammy and she ran outside and started crying. Jim rushed after her to console her. The next day, Tammy sent a message in our family group chat, not directly to us, apologizing for her behavior. My husband did not react. I gave a thumbs up. Once we returned from our honeymoon, Jim texted me directly. He apologized for everything. I became infuriated. I told him I missed the old Jim. I said that Tammy had changed him and ruined our relationship. I expressed that I was beyond hurt and told him I heard his apology, but I was unwilling to accept it at this time. Fast forward to the present day. We have not seen Jim or Tammy since the wedding last year. While I have returned to speaking terms with Jim, I still have never accepted his apology. My parents are now getting to the point that they think we want nothing to do with them and are avoiding them on purpose. They told us we need to accept their apology and keep things moving because they are family. I told them no, and this is the stalemate we have come to. Am I the jerk? Your actions were justified. They should have skipped the wedding if they didn't agree with it and should not have talked to your guests about it. Family is great if it's healthy, but we aren't obligated to keep toxic opinions around just because they're family. Your brother and sister-in-law are really messed up, and it's up to you when you're ready to let them back in, not at the convenience of your parents. Congrats on the wedding. Am I the jerk for refusing to play music in the car anymore? My husband likes to be the one to play music, which is fine. If I request a song, he'll play it. I don't skip through any of his music even if I don't like it because I know he does. However, there have been 3 times recently where his phone is on low battery, and he'll ask me to connect so we're not listening to the radio. Every time, he skips through almost every song I put on the queue to listen to because he isn't feeling it. It was irritating, but I wasn't trying to be dramatic about it. I just asked him not to skip through all the songs because a few played that I really like, and I don't do that when he's playing his music. He just told me to add whatever specific song I had an issue with back to the queue, and he would let it play. Then it happened again a few days later. The second time, I got a little more irritated about it because I had specifically added some songs I wanted him to listen to because I had found them recently. He only lets them play for about 5 seconds before he skips them. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but I told him to please stop skipping through all my music or to add some of his own songs to play too, so it wasn't just mine playing. He didn't want to add any songs. He said he just wanted to skip through until he found a song he felt like listening to. I just let it go. Then, there was today. We were on our way back from a softball game, and his phone died from taking videos, so he asked me to play music in the car. I honestly had forgotten all about his skipping spells until we were headed back home, and he skipped a song by Amy Winehouse I really like. I asked if he would go back to it because I wanted to listen to it. He sighed and went back to the song. After it played, he started skipping every single song that played. It was on a radio, it wasn't even my music playing. But it honestly had to be intentional because not a single one played for more than a few seconds before it got skipped. This went on for a hot minute before I finally asked him to just play what he wanted to play, to which he refused and told me to play something I wanted to listen to. I added a song I wanted to listen to, and he turned the music all the way down. He said, "I don't want to listen to that right now," and tried to drive home in silence instead. I handed him my phone and offered to let him put something on, but he again just outright refused to do it. We finally got home and I was honestly a little irritated with him, and I guess he noticed. He asked me what was wrong, and I just told him I don't want to play music in the car anymore. He said that I should be playing music he specifically likes, and I'm being petty for no reason. I know he thinks I'm in the wrong, but does anyone else think I'm justified in this? You are not the one to blame. It seems like an effort to compromise was made, but he wasn't having it. A fair approach might be to set some rules, like whoever is driving controls the music. Skipping all his songs because you're not feeling it also sounds like a way to get the message across, but a conversation about mutual respect might be more productive. Am I the jerk for asking my parent to invite their partner over less? First of all, I am 15 years old. When I was 11 years old, my father died suddenly. Now my mother has a new boyfriend. My mother says I am being selfish and unreasonable. On New Year's Eve 2024, we went to a family friend's party to spend the night. The room I borrowed had no door and was next to the living room where my mother and her friend were talking. They started talking about how he had said he liked her, but was worried about the fact that she had children. I had had a rough night, a friendship ending and hiding in the bathroom, so that might have been why I started crying. Then they started talking about intimate matters, so I put on my headphones. After that, her new friend, who we had never heard of, started coming over what felt like every other day. For about 4 months, he would come over all the time until she eventually told us that they were, in fact, not just friends. At first, I did not like it because I felt like she had abandoned my father. I am over that now, as I know that life goes on. This summer we went on a trip, and the weekend before we left, her boyfriend slept over here for 2 days. Then we went on a 2-week train trip. It was very intense for me as I have ADHD and anxiety. I thought I was melting by the time it was over. When we got back, she informed me that he was coming to pick us up from the train station and then was going to sleep over for a few days. I asked her to please not do that because I cannot rest whenever he is at our house. I do not know why, but I get tense and anxious, and my resting goes backwards. She decided that he would only sleep over for 1 night. A few days after that, we were going to visit my grandparents who live about 4 hours away. I was happy that I was finally going to get some rest. However, she then told me that he was going to take the train to our grandparents' house a few days after us and then be there for the rest of our stay. This had never been discussed. I understand she wants him to meet her parents, but she knows this stuff is really stressful for me and did not even talk to me about it until it was at the point where I did not have any say in it or any time to prepare mentally. Then he went back home with us in the car and then slept over at our place for 2 days until we were going on another road trip, this one 2 to 3 hours, to see a family friend, which he was apparently also coming along on. I had not been informed until the day before. Thankfully, he did not stay over after we got home from that road trip. The thing is, I do not hate this guy. He is actually really nice to me and my sister. He tries and wants us to like him. The problem is, I cannot like him because it feels like my mother prioritizes him over me and my sister. My sister is 9 years old and gets the same treatment as I do. I think some of my feelings might be because of her, who every day seems to be more and more like me. He just came over out of nowhere, past my limit, and now I am writing this. Am I the antagonist? It seems like you just don't like him being around at all, but your mother is a grown woman raising 2 children on her own and gets to decide who visits or moves in. You really need to have a conversation with your mother because if things are serious, he may move in and you might have to accept that. Some counseling might be helpful, but it's important to understand that this man will be part of your mother's life and home. He may join you on vacations and visits, and while you don't have to like him, you do need to accept that he will be around. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.